Local and state leaders now looking at creating new laws to address teen violence, specifically targeting those who participate in group attacks. The legislation announced this afternoon in Queen Creek, and you'll remember that's the city where 16-year-old Preston Lord was murdered in a group-style attack in October of last year.
12 News journalist Bianca Bono was there. She joins us live outside the Queen Creek Police Department. And Bianca, what specifically does this legislation say?
Guys, it would create a new category of crime called swarming, referring to a group attacking an individual. And it would mean that if you commit an assault with 2 or more accomplices, you could be charged with a Class 4 felony. Now, this is notable because up until now, many of the cases charged were in these group assault cases. Outside of the Lord murder case, we're being charged with misdemeanors or a Class 6 felony, which is the lowest level felony. Class 4 felonies allow for stronger punishments if convicted, and it's also a permanent felony that cannot be turned into a misdemeanor. Mitchell was joined by Queen Creek's mayor and police chief today, along with State Representative Matt Gress, who will sponsor this bill at the start of the next session. And they made it clear this legislation is in direct response to the cases that have come out of the East Valley over the past year, attacks involving a group of teens known as the Gilbert Goons. Since December, the county attorney's office has charged at least 18 cases involving groups beating an individual.
This mob mentality that is demonstrated in these cases is significantly more dangerous for the victim, and that danger needs to be reflected in our laws.
Queen Creek Police Chief Randy Bryce says he spoke with Preston Lord's family earlier today, and they were supportive of this legislation as well. So what happens next? I'm told officials are working on nailing down the language for this bill, but they do expect to receive bipartisan support. We're live in Queen Creek. Bianca Bono, 12 News.
Yeah, and Bianca, that can be a long process to get through the legislature. But I guess what they're hoping is that these groups of teens or so-called gangs will maybe think twice before they get together to beat somebody up.
Exactly. And a whole piece of this is how do you relay this message to those that are actually participating in these group style assaults? And I talked to the Queen Creek police chief about that after the press conference, and he said, you know, that's the important part of this, is that parents need to relay this information to their kids. But the reality is those that are participating in these attacks might not find out about this new increased felony charge until they're actually in the court system. So have to hope that that message gets relayed to them before that.
All right, Bianca, thank you for the update on this. As a reminder, 12 News is continuing coverage of the Preston Lord murder trial, the so-called Gilbert Goons cases. These cases all across the Southeast Valley. You can find that coverage right now on 12news.com and our 12 News YouTube channel.